Hello! We have quite a weekend ahead of us. We have Moon and Sag for most of this weekend, and we have a lot of air and fire to work with. So, what does this mean? It means a couple of things. One, this is a great weekend to go out and have fun, to party, to have great conversations with loved ones, especially loved ones that are coming back into your life, because we're already feeling majorly the influence of the upcoming Mercury Retrograde, which happens on Friday, this upcoming Friday. And by the way, there's nothing to worry about. Mercury Retrograde is not a bad thing. There is no bad thing in astrology. Every energy or transit and whatnot has its challenges, but they also have their gifts, their opportunities. So it's just good to keep these things in mind, and then that'll help us to kind of navigate the waters that we're currently in. So already it's good to do all the typical Mercury retrograde stuff, make sure your car's tires are filled, and backing up information from your phone, your computer, etc., etc. We'll talk more about that as time goes on. But I think a big theme here is communication with people that you haven't been in contact with for a while. So even this weekend, that can majorly pop up. On the one hand, we have so much fun, and truly, I think really in general, this weekend has a kind of amazing quality. It's like a rocket fuel weekend. It can either go really extraordinarily well, and we'll talk about how to make that happen, or it can be really challenging and explode in our faces, and we'll talk about how to mitigate that. First, before I forget, because I will totally forget, as always, I'm doing readings. I love doing readings, done them for over a decade of professional experience. So in the description of this video, you can click a link from my website, and it has all the information for readings. And feel free to ask me any questions if you have any questions about readings. But I offer all kinds of readings. Any kind of question you have, we can talk about. So, where to begin? I think to make this weekend the best possible, I think we just need to take it slow, and we need to focus. With these kind of energies, it's very easy to get lost in all the opportunities and possibilities and overschedule ourselves, and that's just going to make us stressed. Then we're going to get crabby, we're going to get sharp, we're going to say things without thinking it because maybe we're not rested enough, or maybe we get roped into something. It could be however it manifests, but essentially, if we're not taking it slow, then it can be very difficult to maintain a nice balance. If we're organized with our schedule, if we're organized with what we agree to do, to show up to, etc., and if we're really honest with ourselves of what is the most important thing first, I think if we clue into that Sun and Virgo energy of just, okay, simplify. What do I need to work on if I do have to work on anything? Let's get that stuff done, and then we can go and have the fun. And again, when it comes to all of the incredible possibilities of people inviting you to do this or that, or conversations that people are hitting you up for, etc., just simplify. It can be very stressful if you feel like you have to be all things to all people, or that you have to pounce on every opportunity that comes your way this weekend. But you don't have to. It's all good. If anybody's impatient, well then it's probably best to avoid that opportunity anyways, because it would have been kind of frustrating or difficult. You wouldn't be able to maintain your own sense of boundaries really well in that kind of situation. So it's good to just simplify. What's the most important things that you want to do this weekend, that you want to experience? Who do you want to see? Who do you want to talk to? And just focus on that. And if you have extra time and you want to check out other things, beautiful. But I think that's really the best way to make the best of this weekend. And I think something that's good to keep in mind is Mars, especially for today, Saturday. Mars is in Gemini opposite the Moon in Sagittarius. This is a theme that's present all weekend, but especially for Saturday, we really want to take our time to make sure that we're not saying things without thinking of them. This is the theme for really the next 7 months as Mars makes its way through Gemini. But with the particular energies we got, it can be so easy to just, you say something, and then it's like, oh God, what have I done? And then that could even start a really big argument or something with opposite Mars, some kind of altercation or conflict even, and none of that is necessary. So take your time, think through what you want to say. That's really important. I think one other thing that's really important to keep in mind is Venus is still opposite Saturn. We really haven't focused enough on this in transits in the last couple of videos. I mentioned it, I think, in the last one, but this is really important for all of us to keep in mind, to not be too hard on ourselves, and to not be too hard or even cruel, to not be cruel with ourselves, and also to not be too hard or cruel with other people as well. Saturn opposite Venus is a time period where all of our relationships, kind of romantic or platonic, kind of undergo a stress test of some sort. and we have to kind of see where it's at. And this is a good thing. It's a good thing. It helps us to figure out, okay, what do we need to work on in this relationship? Maybe what can I do differently in this relationship? Maybe what could the other person do differently, etc. And all of that is good. The challenge with this is to potentially withhold love, to withdraw affections, and then the other person can very easily do the same, and then all of a sudden you both are like in a cold war in a way, and that's not necessary. That's not good. So I think that's really the summary of that whole challenge, is just don't stop being loving and affectionate with yourself, with other people. And again, it all starts with self. So if you're good with yourself, if you're not being mean to yourself, then you'll be able to give love and affection to other people, and you'll be able to receive it well when they do offer it to you. Yeah. There's always more to talk about, but I think, okay, there's one last thing. Mercury is exactly opposite Jupiter, so the opportunity to talk about long-term possibilities, long-term opportunities, this is a really exciting weekend for that. And you don't want to, there can be a temptation to just talk and not actually like create a plan to follow through on. But I think as long as, again, you're staying grounded and you're actually talking about plans that would be really exciting for you to do in the future with another person, then this can be a wonderful weekend to really set the framework and get the blueprint for the idea. And then you can carry through over the course of the next 3 weeks and then beyond even. This is the kind of time period where these conversations could have the influence of years to come into the future. So it's a great weekend to be able to talk about these things and to be excited, and you should enjoy the excitement while still being very practical. And if you balance those two things, then there can be really great plans that you hatch up, ideas, brainstorming that you have with other people. One last thing. I think going along with the possible, and we didn't even talk, okay, if you experience anxiety during this time, as always, breathe deep, do something practical, go for a walk, do something. I think physical exercise is going to be one of those key things. Meditate also during this time, because we have so much mental and so much even physical energy, as well as the connection between the mind and the body. So that's a beautiful thing, but we have to channel it, like all energy, we have to channel it into the proper outlet. Otherwise we're just going to bristle with it because we're not expressing it. So that's really good to keep in mind. And there's one last thing I was going to say. Oh yeah, it's really good to keep the ego in check this weekend. We do have some energies that can flare up the ego. So as long as, I think that goes along with the whole saying things without thinking, especially if like somebody rubs you the wrong way ego wise, like, okay, keep some distance, let other people go through whatever they're going to go through ego wise, let them say whatever they like. Even you don't have to be around those people. And if they are loved ones, you can set boundaries without engaging in the firefight, without saying things that otherwise, it doesn't matter whose fault it was, who started it. Any kind of word that's said, really during any time, but especially during this time, because at this time, those words can go for the jugular. So we really want to be mindful of this. And during any time, it doesn't really matter who started it, whose fault it was, whatever. If you're saying things, if your words are swords and they're cutting people, that's not ideal. So speak from the truth. Have a peaceful mindset. You don't want to bury conflict. That's not what I'm saying. But you want to be just focused on not trying to get back at people's egos, because some people's egos are going to be a little out of whack this weekend. But ending on a positive note, as long as we're keeping all these things in mind and keeping things in balance, then it's really wonderful to be able to enjoy this weekend, to enjoy being around other people and having a really great time, great conversations. And indeed, instead of having an argument, you can have that great conversation that changes your mind, gives you information, gives you an idea that maybe you do alone or you do with somebody else, and that can influence you in positive ways for years to come. So let's do that. Let's focus on the positive. Infinite love to you, my friends. Namaste. Peace. Come get a reading. I love doing readings. Peace.